Welcome to Discipleship Hoops podcast, where basketball meets purpose. This isn't just about mastering skills on the court, it's about developing the complete athlete. We're here to help young players grow stronger, smarter, and more skilled while deepening their character and strengthening their faith. At Discipleship Hoops, we believe basketball is more than a game. It's a platform for transformation, teaching discipline, teamwork, and resilience. Together, let's empower the next generation of leaders to excel both on and off the court. This is Discipleship Hoops through basketball.
What's good, everyone? Welcome to the latest and greatest edition of the Discipleship Hoops podcast. Joining me again is another phenomenal guest, and I'm a little biased, but probably the best guest that I had up until this point in season 1, episode 6. With me today is Coach Sutton. Before I bring Coach Sutton on, the girls varsity coach at Callaway High School. Coach, let me just ask you one question before we get going. Every time you come down Beasley Road and you see that marquee that says 6A Girls Championship Basketball, what does that do to you?
It gives me chills still.
Right.
It gives me chills still.
Okay, good. That's good. So, for whatever reason, outside of this central Mississippi, and you don't know who this young lady is to my left. All right, let me just give you a brief bio. All right, so sit back, relax, because it's a long, brief bio. All right, Coach Sutton. All right, so I'm going to just start with the Coach of the Year. All right, we'll just start with that, Coach of the Year. But on top of that, 31-5 record. Like I say, Coach of the Year for the 5A region. Class of tomorrow, 25 coaches. Coach of the Year, 6A region.
I'm going to stop you.
Okay.
You said 31-5.
Oh, 91 and 35. All right. So for those that don't know, let me just run down the resume of Coach Sutton. All right. Only a 91 and 35 record. Only the 5A region Coach of the Year. Right. Only the Mississippi Scoreboard Coach of the Year. 3 consecutive district championships. Appearances, 1 undefeated district championship, right? Mm-hmm. All right, best record in Callaway girls history with a 30-3 record. First state championship in Callaway girls history, 3-1 at the Big House, which is pretty phenomenal in itself. And if that's not enough, the Capital Sports Girls Coach of the Year. So, Coach, what did I miss? Tell the people that this may be their first time for their seeing you, hearing your name. What did I miss? Who is Coach Ashli Sutton?
Really, outside of basketball, child of God, preacher's kid. Many people don't know that. I play the drums for my dad church, might sing a little bit. But, on the court, it pretty much hits it. Algebra 1 teacher. So the work definitely gets done off the court as well as on the court.
Yep. So you just shared a little bit about, your faith, and you don't know this, but I've known you for a long time. I've known of you for a long time. Mm-hmm. This is our first time officially meeting in person. But I work with your dad at Henley Young. I'm doing with some juvenile stuff and Progressive, right?
Yep.
Your home church.
Yep.
All my family go there. The Alexanders.
Yes.
Yes, all those, Eloise and James Alexander.
Yes.
Yeah, Tasha.
Yes.
Like those are all my people. So I've known the Sutton name, even your uncle Judge Sutton.
Yes.
Right. My mom, when she was at the DA's office, they worked a lot together. Mm-hmm. So I've known the Sutton family. So I know you come from good stock.
Definitely, most definitely.
Right, and that you're really truly grounded. But share a little bit about your basketball journey. Like, what got you into playing basketball?
Well, growing up on my dad's side of the family, the cousins that were close to me in age were males, my cousin Jay and Frank Jr., and then sometimes my cousin AJ would come outside. So being at my grandfather's house all the time, we would always be outside playing basketball, and that's something that really started me in playing. So I ended up going to Callaway Middle School, tried out, made the team. Things went pretty well, ended up going to Jim Hill and then on to Tougaloo, and I just found a love for basketball.
Okay. And so you went to Callaway, but you also coached there, right? Or Northwest?
No, Northwest Middle
right,
School,
right.
yes.
Okay, Northwest Middle School. And then I heard you mention that you're a teacher, and I guess you get that from your mom.
Yes,
Yeah.
my mom's whole side of the family are teachers, professors, principals, everything.
So with all that, right, your spiritual faith, your teaching pedigree, from your history of your family, what core values drive you in your coaching?
Honesty, teamwork. I'm real big on family and teamwork, working hard. Nothing is really given. You have to earn everything. Making sure you're staying on top of things off the court, academics as well.
Right.
They already know you can't come to me with any C's, D's, none of that. Do the best that you can, of course, and I just know if any player, any student do the best that they can, then you can make whatever grade you want to make, for real.
Yep, that's true. And Callaway High School, it has a long history of basketball.
Yes.
Just look on the banners around us. The Gatorade Player of the Year, Malik Newman.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when this was a standing room only, and
Yes.
you couldn't get in the gym.
Right. Right.
Back when him and Coach Brant was, at the height and doing their run, and here you are on the girls' side, back-to-back champions. What's the culture that you're building, like from where it started to here you are today as two-time champion?
Don't settle.
Don't settle. Okay, good.
Don't settle. It's not okay to lose. It's don't be content with losing. Losing is not fun. It's not all about winning,
right,
but definitely not wanting to lose.
Yep. And I read a quote that you said. It said that sometimes you have to lose to win.
Right.
Like break that down, and what does that mean?
So like the first year I got here, we were 12 and 16. We took a lot of hits. We lost a lot of games by 30, and we just went to work after that. The next year, we ended up going to the Coliseum. We lose to West Jones in the championship. Fast forward to this past season, and we beat West Jones in the championship. And so going through that losing spell and that losing point, you got to lose to win again. And so a lot of teams that we beat this year, we lost to either last year or the year before, and those were the same teams that we were faced against again.
Right.
And so because we lost that first time, we knew what it took. We knew not to play. We didn't come in with our heads on the top of our shoulders. We weren't cocky. We just really wanted to work, and that happened because we lost.
Yeah, and another thing I read that you say is trust the process.
Yes.
And that's something that I really talk to players about, because players are these time players want the microwave, right? They want to be able to pop
Instantly.
it in his they signing D1 NIL deals tomorrow.
Right.
Right. They want the deal for they
From
even
one
put the work
workout.
in. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So with that being the culture, what do you teach? What do you instill in your girls to be like, no, trust the process? Like, because like my son, for example, when he was 10th grade, he thought Steph Curry, right? So he thought Steph Curry woke up at 21 years old and decided to start shooting threes, right? It was like, no, he was 5 when he was, starting shooting them, right? And even today, his warm-up, he don't start warm-up shooting threes. Right? He starts in and work his way out. So how do you balance that? Like, how do you talk to your players about just trusting the process?
Well, one thing I had to realize for myself first was that in trusting the process, the crazy thing is you don't know how long the process is going to be.
Exactly.
I thought, when I came to Callaway, my goal was, okay, we got to win this 3 times back to back. We didn't get it the first year. One of my players were hurt in and out. I said, but we can do it, their 10th, 11th, 12th grade year. And so coming up short every time, it was like, okay, we're still in this process. So I kept the motto going every year. That's just really one of the brands that I have. Trusting the process, doing whatever it takes to get it, and just being committed to that process is just something that you just have to do if you're going to say you're going to trust the process for real. Right,
exactly right. And like I say, like we mentioned earlier, around here you see a lot of the boys' accolades, and so you coming in and instantly changing the girls' program. What has been some of your biggest challenges off the court in doing so? Off the court, really, resources, trying to find a way to get it done, legally by any means necessary. Their home situation, just getting them to understand that when we're in these 4 lines, nothing else, outside matters. Right. And so honestly, like the biggest struggles really had nothing to do with on the court. It's really, off the court. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I can see that going on, just especially, being part of this community in the city of Jackson, and just all the different, to your point, resources, challenges that come with that. So you being deeply rooted and grounded in spirituality, in family and faith and all that. How do you help these young ladies balance like the stuff they see social media into your own faith?
I make sure I have a good communication line with them, relationship with them, that we could talk about anything. We do go to church often. We have a scripture that we'll say, so they have about maybe 6 or 7 scriptures now that they should have been familiarized with, that we'll say. We pray before every practice. We have devotion. We pray before games, after practice, breaking it down, just trying to make sure that they know where their other help can come from, outside of us, to make sure we're family, that we're bonded,
right,
and make sure that they're doing the right thing on and off the court as well.
Yeah, and that's good, and I want to stay right there because, like I said, you're Coach of the Year, right? So, and that's, a lot of people, when they see that, they think, okay, she's put the work in on the court, and not really know the behind the scenes stuff that goes on in the locker rooms, or late night phone calls, or your players coming to you crying about this issue and that issue and grades and relationships, parents, all these
right.
things, all this stuff they have going on. What's been your approach to say, like, where you become more focused and it's more important to you of who they become off the court than their scoring average?
Right, yeah, definitely. This off the court is more important to me because I need to make sure that each athlete that I come across know what life is outside of basketball.
5 seconds.
Are you ready to take your child's game to the next level? You gotta check in with Discipleship Hoops. We offer individualized basketball training designed to help your young athletes not only master their craft on the court, but also to build discipline, confidence, and faith. Whether they need work improving their shot, sharpening their ball handling skills, or elevating their basketball IQ, we do it all in our tailored sessions that are designed to help your player grow not only as a player, but as a leader. Don't wait. Don't delay. Start your journey today. Visit j5solutions.com/discipleship hoops. That's j5solutions.com/discipleship hoops. Let's build their game and their future one step at a time. That's j5solutions.com/discipleship hoops. That's j5solutions.com/discipleship hoops. We can't wait to get you on the court.
A lot of times I post, and I start a post by it's more than a game, because it definitely is. If you don't know who you are without a basketball, then you really won't know who you are with one, and that's very important for me because you have to be able to be human beings with the ball in your hand, without a ball in your hand. And it's not necessarily, to me, a plan B. It's just all of a big plan,
Right.
So you have to know who you are as a person.
Yeah, that's true. And the name of this podcast, Discipleship Hoops. And when I started it, it's for that reason, to disciple. Right, to disciple young men and women that God has entrusted us to come across. And coaching is the platform that He's blessed us with, but in that platform we have to understand that it's bigger than that.
Right.
It's bigger than coaching. It's bigger than, yes, seeing your 6A on the marquee is great. Gold balls are great. Coach of the Year is great. But once players leave here and they say, man, how was it playing for Coach Sutton? What is that thing you want them to be able to say?
Well, it's funny because one of my seniors said she was going to write a book called Surviving Ashli Sutton. And it's funny that they put Ashli instead of Coach Sutton because it's really, I'm going to be honest, it's really not easy to play for me. I'm big on tough love. I'm going to correct you. I'm going to come back and love you later, but I'm going to tell you when you're wrong. The moment you're wrong, I will get you together. If we're in the back, if we're out here on the court, I might meet you at half court. But just understand that it's all coming, from love. And one thing that they will tell them is if you trust her and believe in her, she'll make sure that everything, all of your needs are met on and off the court. She's going to care for you. With the basketball, without a basketball, if you decide to stick it out, if you decide to quit, but you definitely have to be tough. And if you just stick with it, even if you come in not mentally tough, because honestly, most freshmen are not, but if you just stick with it, you'll see yourself being a better person.
Yep, I can see that, and I would imagine that tough love comes from Mr. Arthur Sutton.
Yes,
He probably is.
yes, him and my papa.
A lot
And
of
my
tough
papa
love,
was
yeah.
mean, but he was strict, and
Yep.
they understood that he
Right.
meant business,
Exactly.
and that's one of the things that I make sure I wanted to do, especially with me being close to age with my players, just understanding that one, we're not friends,
Right.
never will be.
Right, right,
It's a line.
Right.
And so just making sure that you have this strict, stern, and I give them the face, they be like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
she mean business
Yeah.
now, right? So growing up as a pastor's kid, how does your faith and spirituality balance and influence your coaching?
It has to balance it. In the hard times, it makes sure that you don't give up. And then also, it's time consuming, but I would still say it's worth it, because even if I've had a bad practice or a bad week, or just going to the drum set, or just being able to go to church was really my peace and my therapy time.
Right.
And it's something that's definitely needed if you want to coach, honestly, for a long time, to keep you from being stressed out and,
Right.
in a hospital. Because
Right.
I've been there, done that. Last season, it was very stressful. We had a whole lot of deaths, not just in my family, but, and my players' family as well. And season was going good, then we had a whole lot of injuries, and then it was just rough. And I ended up in the emergency room twice. And I just told myself I cannot do that again. And so
Right.
I had to go back to my roots and make sure that I was deeply grounded in my faith, and, praying, and make sure I just really gave everything over.
Yeah, that's good. That's good stuff. If we go back to you playing at, playing at Jim Hill, coaching over at Northwest Middle, and now here at Callaway, where do you see the state of girls basketball and JPS going?
It's definitely getting greater. We still have a lot of work to do, honestly. But I just hope that everybody can see the things that we've done here at Callaway just by putting the work in, that it's possible. One thing I can say, since I've been at Callaway, every senior that has come to me wanting to go play on the next level,
Right.
regardless of how far behind they were or whatever, we've made sure it's happened.
Yeah.
And so it can happen. I just want, everybody in JPS, the city of Jackson, and surrounding areas, to just know, if you put the work in, it can be done. And so we're not where we should be, but I think we're, well on our way.
Yeah. I would say so too, that you are well on your way. So when it comes to, just parents, players, especially now as AAU season is coming up and players are navigating that's a whole completely different topic that'll take 8 hours to go
Right.
to the AAU circuit. But what advice, I can't say young coach because you're a young coach yourself, so I would say for a new coach that's struggling, maybe only 3 out of 3 wins this year, just trying to find their footing and figure it out. What advice would you give to young coaches? And also, what advice would you give to parents saying, hey, my daughter had 3 points, they should be getting the NIL deal, why they not?
Right.
Right. What advice would you offer them?
So for coaches, I would tell them to keep working, keep grinding. A lot of things like this year, we had a struggle. Like since I've been here, really, we've had strong first halves, but our third quarter was trash.
Yep.
Every game.
Right.
We can go up halftime, up 20, come back, we let the team go on a 10-0 run, And so one thing I did, I was harping on it. I was like, okay, y'all, we can't do this, we can't do that. But one thing I learned from Coach Banks, that said Mississippi Delta, she was like, Coach, just let it go.
Right.
Don't harp on it.
Right.
Because now they feel the pressure of, okay, now we got to do this, so they're scared to play.
Right.
She was like, so just let it go. So some things as a coach, you just have to let it go.
Yep.
Some things, stay grounded on your beliefs. Make sure your discipline is there. And, regardless if it's the best player, the worst player, you have to hold everybody accountable. I'm not a coach of equity. I'm going to equality.
Right.
I'm going to give you what you need
Right.
individually, and I have to let everybody know. Establish your role players. This year, I think we was able to actually do it. Well, I know we was able to actually win because I had role players that were happy about their role.
Right.
And it's not about the scoring of the points. That's one thing I would tell parents.
Right.
When you come home after practice, do not ask your kid anything offensively.
Right.
You know, ask them, how good was your defense?
Right.
Did you rebound?
Right.
Did you get a couple of steals?
Right.
Did you hustle? Did you go out to every dead ball, every loose ball, things of this sort? And definitely, like, one thing my parents know, the parents of my players know, do not ask me about playing time. That's something I'm not going to engage in, because I see what your kid does
Right.
every single day in practice.
Right.
Parents, if you're not happy with playing time, they have to get in work outside of the gym.
Exactly.
It cannot happen in practice.
Right.
It has to be outside of the gym. And one thing every athlete that plays basketball can do and get better in is dribbling.
Yep.
That's one thing that hurts a lot of athletes that cannot handle the ball. And if you
Right.
can, honestly, you have to stay on the floor.
Yep. Yep. That's good. One thing I like to tell players is, if you're not getting playing time, that's a you problem, not a coach problem.
It is, definitely. What you gonna do about it?
Right.
Work.
Right, exactly. Well, Coach Sutton, I truly appreciate your time, taking out time of your busy day. I know we at towards the end of school. You're probably navigating getting your next team up, girls,
Right.
girls up and ready, getting those freshmen that's about to become sophomores ready to play. So I always like to end it with one question, one answer. Jordan or LeBron?
LeBron, easy, easy.
I knew I liked you for a reason.
LeBron, even though he got put out last night, LeBron, easy.
Exactly, exactly. I tell people all the time, numbers don't lie, just people feelings do.
Yep, that's it. LeBron, easy.
All right, Coach, I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.